Strangers, believe me when I say, loving me is loving danger. Your heart is bound to break. I walk alone in the night, neath the pale moon. Loving's for the fools. Baby, beware of my body. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 Creeping through the shadows and the corners of your mind. I with the wind blows. I run but I don't hide. I hear the call of the wild, whispering the name. No, I can't be tamed. My heart belongs to the night. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a lone wolf.
Alright guys, helps if I unmute myself, done that. Oh, sorry, red barring. But yeah, welcome to the news. Welcome to the show. Again, we're back at it for another day. Another demonetized video from YouTube. But no, yeah, obviously, I haven't seen Satellite yet, so I'm not sure if he's back today or back tomorrow. Obviously, if he pops in, Sat, if you're here, if you see this, you're obviously, feel free to join. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow, maybe. But yeah, he's helping with family and stuff like that. So, it's all good. He's just taking a little bit of time for personal stuff. But apart from that, guys, obviously, let's cover the news because the exciting stuff, the stuff that everybody is really wondering about is Venezuela. You know, that lovely place that tried to bring in communism that absolutely failed. Yet again, it's surprising. They just keep trying, don't they? It's how many times can you try and bring in a failed economic module before you sit there and think maybe it's a bad idea? Well, at the moment, yeah, it's Venezuela, so yeah, we'll cover that. Also, we are going to be talking about Sargon of Akkad because the Daily Mail has gone through and done a hit piece. Hi Trip, how are you, buddy? Donald Trump has also designated the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist group. So that's obviously good. Beto O'Rourke is now claiming we only have 10 years left, which is weird because I thought we had 12 earlier this year. It must be like time speeding up. You can now get instant 6-packs, apparently, which is, you know, disconcerting. People have been diagnosed with HIV after getting a vampire facial. We will talk about that, don't worry. 13 Reasons Why study is supposedly getting people to commit suicide. Barack Obama has yet another Netflix deal. Better, Bernie and Biden are closing in on Trump, reportedly. We'll talk about that. McCain has defended Biden. Big surprise. Warmonger's daughter supports a warmongerer. CNN, Chris Cuomo says Antifa fight for a good cause. There's nothing like sticking up for a terrorist organization, is there? Complete madness. Democrats subpoenaed Trump's grandkids, apparently. So we'll talk about that. Charlottesville judge rules in regards to Confederate statues. China is funding Biden's family business. That probably should be up closer to the other one that was Biden. Where's the other news on Biden? There it is there. There, so Biden, there we go. And obviously the last few stories for the day. Pentagon approves $7.4 million for troops to feed, care for border crossers. Pelosi, Schumer wants Trump's infrastructure plan to be a climate change bill because narrative. And Theresa May is preparing to cave to Labour and Brexit. So we're going to talk about all of that. What I want to do, guys, obviously, before the show starts, or just in the first few minutes of the show, is basically cover all the topics for the day. I won't be able to go through and do like a time code thing because obviously it's live. But at the end of the day, yeah, just give you an idea of what the stories are going to be for the day. So that way you know whether to, yeah, I don't know, hang around. Of course you guys want to hang around. It's me. Why would you not want to hang around? But apart from that, guys, obviously we're going to be interacting with chat for the whole show as well. So feel free to smack that comment section. Or if you're live, obviously check in the comment, the chat like what Trip has done. Apart from that, obviously, guys, we're going to kick it off with Venezuela because everybody loves to talk about a civil war, a possible coup from the opposition, America's getting involved, what it means for American and Russian relations, because that's also a thing as well. And apparently they're also going through and taking fake news off the internet, off the TV stations. So that's happened as well. But let's just kick it all off. So Venezuela's Julian Gallardo, I might be mispronouncing, accused of a coup attempt by the government. I don't think it was really, it wasn't really an attempt. Well, it was a pretty decent college try at it, that's for sure. Opposition leader Julian Gallardo urged Venezuela troops to support him in what he's calling a final push to oust President Nicolás Maduro. Now, Venezuela's opposition leader Julian Gallardo, might be mispronouncing, has made his strongest call yet for military to help him out. President Nicolás Maduro, as violence broke out in anti-government protests. Several dozen armed troops accompanying Mr. Gallardo clashed with soldiers supporting Mr. Maduro at a rally outside the La Cura Air Base in Caracas on Tuesday. We just got some breaking news. Hang on a sec. Okay, yeah, it's about Mueller. The incident fizzled out and did not appear to be a part of an immediate attempt by the opposition to take power through military force. Now, my understanding is both these guys are socialists. Both of these guys are fairly left-wing. So it would literally be the case of a coup taking out a socialist to bring in another socialist. Like, okie dokie then. The major difference between these two is one is Russian backed and the other is American backed. Can you guess which one's American backed? Yeah. The one's probably trying to do the coup, by the way, in case you haven't guessed. So that's the difference, really, is in Venezuela. This John Judo has American interests at heart. President Nicolás Maduro has more of Russia-China's interests at heart. I do find it interesting that America is trying to lead a coup in a country where they have a lot amount of oil and they seemingly have more interest in talking to Russia. But, you know, hey, there's that. Just saying. Oh, we just got some breaking news too. Yeah, we just got some breaking news on a school shooting. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, at the end of the day, apart from that, that's the biggest difference between these two, is the fact that it's that. The biggest difference is that one's American-backed socialist, the other's Russia and China-backed. Like, to be honest, is there really much of a difference between them? That's my question. Apart from that, obviously, Venezuela erupts into violent chaos as Maduro opposition calls for military uprising against the government. So, Venezuela has erupted into military violence, street battles involving gunfire, protests, and armed vehicles after opposition leader Julian Maduro called for military uprising to oust current President Nicolás Maduro following years of political and economic chaos. Now, the dramatic events began today when Guido, flanked by a few dozen National Guardsmen and some armoured crowd control vehicles near Caracas Air Base, released a surprise video shot at dawn, urging the final push to topple Maduro. In a surprise move, Leopoldo Lopez, I might mispronounce it, Guido's political mentor and the nation's most prominent opposition activist, stood alongside him. So, detained in 2014 for leading a previous round of anti-government unrest, Lopez said he had been released from house arrest by security forces, adhering to an order from Guido. I want to tell the Venezuelan people at this moment to take the streets and accompany those patriot soldiers, Lopez declared. Of the two opposition leaders, the coordinated actions from vehicles parked on the highway, overpass, topples loyal to Maduro, sporadically fired tear gas inside from the adjacent Arco airbase. And there is videos here of this happening. There was a video on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it. So there's this video, which is probably not going to make a lot of sense to anybody because, well, we don't speak the language, but play it anyway. Okay, that doesn't make much sense to anybody because it's, well, yeah. Let's try RT. So this is footage from the incident. So it really wasn't much of a coup, really. People tend to be blowing it out of proportion a little bit. But, I don't know, what do you guys reckon? Do you reckon this is a major coup? Or an attempt? Personally? Yeah. Personally, us Aussies have a bigger row when we go and riot than a coup this, but yeah. But yeah, so that's what happened basically. That was the gist of it. That was the major points of it. Yeah, look, obviously, look, like I say, look, to be honest, you got a choice of a socialist or a socialist. You know, which one do you pick? So, yeah, look, I don't know. And I'm just writing down all the times for us to start so I can go through and actually do the whole we're live at this time stuff so you guys actually know when to tune in. So I've done Dallas, San Francisco, Washington, London, Stockholm, Toronto and Australia. So that should be enough for people to that is 7 p.m. and that is 6 p.m. Cool. There we go. Alright. But yeah, like I said, it's not much of a... wasn't much of a coup. Chucking rocks. Yeah, and we're going to get to that point in a sec, Antrack. So, yeah, you're right. like I said, it was mostly them just throwing rocks, and to be honest, I think people are too starving to put up much of a fight. It's only going to escalate. That is true, Eric. I will fully agree with you on that. I expect the situation to get worse before it gets better. And eventually I reckon they're going to kick him out. Kicking and screaming. But at the moment, he seems to have the support of the police. He seems to have the support of most of the military. Like I say, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think this is... Yeah, I wouldn't... I don't know. People are going on, oh, you know, Venezuela coup, ah, you know. There was a lot of hurrah about it, and it really wasn't that big, to be honest. Venezuela uprising turns violent after military armoured vehicle plows in a crowd of opposition supporters. So obviously this kind of sucks when they do this. But embroiled supporters of the opposition Julia Guro brutally clashed with Venezuelan security forces as dramatic footage from Caracas shows a military armoured vehicle ploughing into the crowd. In a video broadcast live on telecasts across the world, the armoured vehicle can be seen driving over the centre of the road, hitting a crowd of demonstrators, purportedly throwing rocks at security forces. No injuries were immediately reported, which kind of makes me wonder if an armoured vehicle ploughed into a group of people, why were there no injuries? So, yeah. But yeah, Maduro denounced the actions by the Venezuelan security forces, saying that the military and security leaders must realize that they are and will be held responsible for this, he said on Twitter. So, yeah. They need billards apiece. Yeah. But like I say, the media is trying to make this out to be a lot more than it really is at the moment. Obviously, CNN and BBC have been pulled off the air by Venezuela's government. So CNN was taken off the air by Venezuela's government on Tuesday, moments after the network broadcast the feed that showed the military vehicles running over protesters in Caracas. Because nothing says, hey, we don't want this broadcast to the world, like pulling off the air. DirecTV, Neto, and Cable, and Telephonic all received orders from Venezuela's government regulator, Contel, to block CNN. DirecTV and CNN are both owned by AT&T. A BBC spokesman told CNN and BBC Global News had also been taken off the air in the Southern American country. So, violent clashes erupt on Tuesday after the opposition called Venezuelans to take to the streets and uprise against President Maduro. CNN was blocked about a minute after airing a live feed of the National Guard running over protesters who oppose Maduro. Yeah, bullards are like, actually, it's just probably easy just to post a picture because it's hard to explain. This is what we call as a bullard. Ah, okay, that didn't work. So, this sort of thing. They're bullards. So you get to see them on the screen there, Trip. Big concrete blocks to stop trucks of peace. Yeah, that's the other one. So in Australia we have these silver things. But over in countries like, for example, over in the UK and stuff like that, they've actually used great big blocks. I'm just trying to find a photo of one now. Maybe bullards of peace might bring it up. Oof, that's a little risque, that one. About to post it now. I can't see anything where it shows. Oh, didn't load. Try it again. Not in Melbourne. We have blocks. Oh, okay. Really? I did hear about something about they did put in new ones, so yeah, one surprise. But yeah. Anyway, the image doesn't seem to want to load. Go figure. Anyway, it was kind of funny, but anyway. Hey TJ, how are you, buddy? But yeah, so obviously CNN and BBC is off. Venezuela banned private gun ownership less than a decade ago. So if you're wondering why they're throwing rocks at the security forces, Venezuela banned private citizens from owning guns 7 years ago, leaving firearms solely in the hands of the army of the police. Now, as the country's opposition attempts to oust the oppressive Maduro regime from power, its decision somehow comes to regret. Interim President Juno Drake, I'm getting that name wrong, called for a military uprising dubbed Operation Letard against social dictator Nicolás Maduro on Tuesday. Venezuela had been protesting for months against Maduro's re-election, which the United States have declared to be illegitimate in light of Maduro's jailing of political dissidents and protesters. As the unrest in the country approaches a breaking point, some citizens told Fox News in December that they wish they had guns available to them to fight back. Yeah, yeah. Firefox is one of the few things that actually works. Although I think I might have figured out why Chrome doesn't work, but yeah. It was never easy to obtain a handgun permit in Venezuela, but at least before 2012, it was possible. It's like they go through and they ban guns right before they go through and bring in a authoritarian government. Who would have thought? It seems like if you have a bunch of guns, you can fight back against the repression of a regime. Who would have thought? Trump threatens Cuba as Maduro cracks down. Venezuela update. So obviously this is the latest one. Venezuela opposition leader Juno Gerardo, I'm not mispronouncing, has proclaimed the end of the socialist president Nicolás Maduro's regime and called for a military uprising. Its highly fluid situation has come out as unclear, and the events as they unfold, timestamp is in Caracas time. So according to local time, so Washington promises help for Guaido at 2:55 p.m. Unrest against regime spreads across Venezuela at 2:40. 2:30, regime forces repeal opposition protest march. So like I say, look, at the end of the day, obviously if Washington was to get involved, then obviously they would have a better chance. But at the moment, all I see is a bunch of civilians throwing rocks at security forces that have guns. And I don't think this is going to end anyway, which is a good thing. Not for the local president anyway. Not for the local people anyway. We need to get some of our basics back here too. Yeah, we do. We really do. But yeah, at the end of the day, I would say that this is not going to end well. This is not going to end well for the local population. They've got nothing to defend themselves. They've got no firearms. Like, they really don't have much of the security force to back them up, because obviously the security forces want to get fed and paid, so they got to fight for the dictator. Plus, it's military, so, you know. The news report that said Templar had helped make an American reliant on its own oil instead of others. True. Yeah, but at the end of the day, if you can get oil from someone else's and use somebody else's oil over your own, you're going to do that, of course. So, but yeah. But look, at the end of the day, obviously, look, as for this Venezuela thing, it's still a fluid situation. I think it's going to be like this for a few days. And depends on if America gets involved as to what's going to be the outcome. But if without American intervention, I don't think these guys are going to do well. I really don't think they're going to do well against security forces. They got rocks. Security forces have guns. So, you know. Alright, so let's jump on to UKIP and let's talk about Daily Mail. Yeah, that's true, Eric, yeah. And so far he has done it. So let's talk about UKIP and Daily Mail. So now UKIP candidate who said he wouldn't even rape a Labour MP says it's okay to sexually abuse boys. Did he really now? That's interesting. Have you got proof of that, Daily Mail? Because I don't think Sargon actually did say that. And we'll get to that obviously in a sec, but let's talk about what they've got. If Venezuela is using gun control to take people's guns rights away, wouldn't that make Venezuela an evil, libertarian, communist country? What do you think? Well, it's funny because it was the pre-existing government that actually took the guns away. But yes, he was left-wing, and he was left-wing to the point where he is a socialist. And this is the thing, and this is what I was saying before. You have one socialist who's trying to screw over the country and bring in communism, and he's trying to be overthrown at the moment by another socialist who wants to bring in communism. It's basically two communists trying to fight for control of the government and of the people. The difference between the two of them, one is that one's supported by the Americans and the other's supported by Russia and China. Sargon, Daily Mail did a hit piece on Sargon, all lies. Yes, we're going to be covering that right now, actually, Trip. But yeah, as for Venezuela, that's the difference between them, man. You got two people that are literally the same. The only difference is one's supported by America, one's supported by China and Russia. But Russia and China at the moment have a lot of money in current Venezuela and the current regime, and they are favoring them with trade and stuff like that over the Americans. And that's what it's all about, to be honest. America doesn't really care about socialism that much, to be honest. Trump really doesn't care about it that much. What he mostly cares about is trade and stuff like that. But anyway. So let's talk about this hit piece, and let's call it for what it is. Police are examining 6 statements about child abuse made by highly controversial and UKIP candidate. Carl Benjamin was formally adopted by the party as a candidate for the European elections last week, despite fury over his remarks that he wouldn't even rape a Labour MP. Which is weird because that same MP that you're talking about also laughed about male suicide. But you didn't mention that, did you? Now, senior UKIP sources told the Daily Mail on Sunday that they have passed a dossier to Washington police containing deeply offensive remarks made by Mr. Benjamin on an online vlog from Sweden who calls himself Sargon of Akkad. So, in this article, they are complaining that... So, it includes a YouTube broadcast in which Mr. Benjamin says, I can quote as... Sorry. Includes YouTube broadcast and Mr. Benjamin says, I can be quoted as saying, you can F young boys. It's actually not as controversial as you think. Depends on the child, doesn't it? The ancient Greeks were preterist. It was considered to be normal. It was mentoring. Now, that's what they're claiming. Right? So the dossier also includes screenshots of social media messages which Benjamin says he needs something to really trigger outrage, adding, do you have any underage porn or child porn? I will delete it if nobody gets in trouble. I really doubt that. But anyway. So I think that might be a fake account if there's any screenshots of that. I don't think that's really Sargon. And also we don't see the actual screenshot, so I'll take that with a grain of salt. But here's the thing. This comment here that they're going on about, you can F young boys. It's actually not as controversial as you think, blah, 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 blah. They've actually gone through and Stitch has actually uploaded a video to Sargon's channel, and he's gone through and he's broken it down.
Dishonest, disgusting lies against Sargon. And he's currently talking to his lawyer to see if he can pursue legal action.
Which I think he should. I really do think Carl should. Now, we'll get to the point.
Vlogger? How? It was mentoring. Wow. I just couldn't find the exact words. And we're pointing to two different lies. Pederast, it was considered to be normal. It was mentoring. Wow. That's a lot to take in. It certainly sounds pretty damning. So I looked into it. I found most people claiming this quote was taken out of context and were pointing to two different live streams Sargon had done in the past. One was with Amos Yee in 2017, and the other was with Justicar in 2014. Now I had trouble finding this exact quote. I just couldn't find the exact words. And there's a reason for that. This quote that the Daily Mail printed doesn't exist. Yes, the Daily Mail is so dishonest, they printed a fake quote. Now you're asking, wait a minute, Sitch, how can you prove the quote is fake? Well, let me show you. Good people at the UKIP Liberalist Research Team figured out the reason you can't find this quote is because it's actually 4 different quotes stitched together.
Okay, so that's... I'll put a link in the video, so obviously you guys can go check it out, and there will be a link in the description below. Obviously it's a video on Sargon's account. But what it is what they've done, and they've gone through and they've taken 4 different quotes to make one big quote. So they've gone through and they're saying, I can be quoted saying, you can F young boys. That's the first part of the quote. Antrak, your video, your message was retracted, buddy. The second, for some reason, I don't know what you typed, but yeah. The second part was, it's not actually as controversial as you think, was actually taken from a second part of the actual, of a live stream. Then they've gone back with a conversation with Justicar. Depends on the child, doesn't it? And then they've gone through back to Amos Yee, who wrote, the ancient Greeks were pederast. It was considered to be normal. It was mentoring. And that's what they've done, is they've gone through and they've stitched these 4 quotes together to try and make it seem like it's one big quote. Now, when you go through and you actually listen to the 4 quotes that he's actually saying, and in what context they were talking, he wasn't advocating for any of this. This is literally them piecing together 4 quotes from different live streams so that they can try and push a narrative. Now, I do find it really, really interesting that supposedly Sargon isn't polling well, but yet he's constantly being smeared by the establishment. If he's not doing well, why are you so worried in the fact that you constantly have to smear him? That would be my question. Second thing is, at the end of the day, do I think he should sue? Yes, definitely. I would sue the living crap out of the Daily Mail, because this is a blatant lie. Like I said, they've gone through and they've tried to make it out that he says it's okay to sexually abuse boys. He hasn't. He never said that. And at the end of the day, just sue the crap out of him, Sargon. I really wish you would actually go through and do that, because this in itself is despicable. This is absolutely insane, where you get mainstream media going through and taking 4 different lines from different live streams, or 2 different live streams, and are piecing pieces together to try and make some Frankenstein quote to make it push a narrative that he's okay with abusing or sexually abusing young boys. Like, this is absolutely, this is fake news at its highest. This is the state of the news over in the UK. Holy shit! This is bad. This is absolutely insanely bad. And they don't seem to... Not only are they happy running this, but B, they haven't fact-checked it at the very least if they are incomplicit. Or C, they're completely complicit with it and they just don't care. Like, holy shit. Yeah, like Janet says in chat, sue, sue, sue. Yeah, Sargon, for some reason, dude, if you ever watch this video, sue the crap out of the Daily Mail. Take them to the cleaners and make them put out a full-page retraction claiming that they got it wrong, they took it all out of context, and that they are incredibly sorry. That would be what? Front page. If anybody tries this sort of shit with me, and if they want me to settle, fine. I'll settle for the lovely money that you're going to pay me. But you are going to have to run a full-page ad on the front cover admitting not only did you get it wrong, that you lied, you took it out of context, whatever it may be, and that you apologize. Because the damage that's done to someone's campaign by this sort of smear campaign, it's everlasting. It really, really is. And this is what the mainstream media is doing at the moment. Mainstream media and online leftists and all that, they go through and they write all these hit pieces. They constantly write them, time after time after time, right? And even if they debunk them, even if they get debunked by people like me or Sargon or whoever it may be, what they do is they keep the original ones up. And then when they want to go through and attack your YouTube channel, they just simply link to the debunked news sources and claim that they were right. It's like, for example, it's death by 1,000 cuts. And that's what they've been doing for the past 6 or 12 months. I don't know if anybody else has worked it out, but that's my interpretation of what's happening. It's absolutely insane. The media would try this. I'm not surprised. I warned everybody. I said when Sargon gets into politics, the shit is going to hit the fan. But I did not expect this. I did not expect him to go this bad. Now, like I say, PSA Snitch does an amazing job breaking this all down. I don't want to keep playing the video because obviously you guys should go and check it out. It's a really good video. It goes for about 13 minutes. He would lose. The media gets away with it. He did say it. Seen it before. He would lose. Yeah, I don't know about that. See, Amtrak, I don't know, man. I don't know, because they've made the claim, they put in the headline here, it's okay to sexually abuse boys. They would have to back that up. And they can't back that up. They can't back up that he said that anywhere. And apparently he is talking to lawyers, so I don't know. But yeah. I don't know. I was shocked when I saw this. I really, really was. But yeah. You dirty, dirty smear merchant, Sargon. Hold my soy milk, Daily Mail. Jesus, he calls out the media for being dirty, dirty smear merchants, and they respond by proving him 100% correct. Now, obviously, these comments are going to be biased because it's on Sargon's channel, but false statements about an election candidate's personal career are criminal under the Representation of People's Act, 1983, Section 106. The statement doesn't need to be defamatory, just false. Although the purpose of making them must be to affect the number of votes cast for a candidate, possibly argue in this instance, depending on the ability of your lawyer. That's interesting. But yeah. Sue. Yeah. Oh, there's a trip there. Yeah. But anyway. When is the FCC going to investigate CNN and the fake news media? Wow. That's the question, isn't it? That's the question, TJ. That's the question. But anyway. As for this, look. To be honest, Sargon, if you see this for some reason, just sue him, man. Take him to court. Take him to the cleaner. He agreed with the gritty and depends on the child. I don't know. I mean, I know he didn't mean it how it sounded. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Look, obviously, I'm not a lawyer. It's something that Trump would need... Oh, sorry, not Trump. Sargon would need to talk to his lawyers about. I would be seeking legal advice. My case gives me insight, still fighting. Yeah, well, I've spoken to you about that in the past, but can't remember what it was now. It was about the news, wasn't it? You were slandered in the news or something, Amtrak? Something along those lines? But anyway. Obviously, since then, Trump has pushed to designate Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist group. So the the White House is pushing to issue an order that would designate the Muslim Brotherhood a foreign terrorist organization, bringing the weight of American sanctions against the storied and influential Islamic political movement with millions of members across the Middle East, according to officials familiar with the matter. I would support this. I think at the end of the day, they are a terrorist group. I believe that they've actually gone through, and from my understanding, they're funded. Or not funded, but supported even. Yeah, true. That's definitely true, Amtrak. If he was to take him to court, it would be then in the media, and people would be wondering why he's taking them to court and suing for defamation. So the public opinion would definitely be more important than the outcourt and the result. But as for this, yeah, look, at the end of the day, my understanding is that the Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization. That's my opinion, I must say. I think this is the group that Linda Sarsour is affiliated with, isn't it? Yeah, she's an ally of the Muslim Brotherhood. So, yeah. But yeah, no, I would support it. I would say definitely. And while you're at it, make Antifa, which we're going to get onto, obviously. Trump moves to designate Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist group. President Trump moves towards designated Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist group following the visit from the president of Egypt early this month. The designation would impose several travel and economic sanctions on those associated with the group, which has millions of members across the globe. The group is politically opposed to Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. City asked Trump to join his country in designating them a terror group when the two talked in April 9th, meeting in the White House. Trump reacted positively to the idea, saying it would make sense for the US to make the designation the same as his age, reportedly interrupted his response as a commitment. The move would complicate because of Muslim Brotherhood's size and reach, including into the United States. Some political parties associate loosely with the group, but disavow its violent extremism. But like I say, Linda Sarsour and stuff like that. Yeah. TJ says, I would support this 100%. Muslim Brotherhood is very, very bad, and they are evil terrorist group. Yeah, they are. My understanding is they are too, yeah. So, 7 countries, including Russia, Saudi Arabia, have made the designation. The sanction imposed would punish those who fund the group or provide banking services, and ban members or those who wish ties to the group from entering the United States. Like, for example, Linda Sarsour and her allies. So, I see a win-win out of this. I don't see this as a bad thing. So, yeah. I reckon go for it. Do it. But, yeah, see what happens. Alright. Bitter Rock. We only have 10 years left to address climate change. Which is weird, because didn't we have 12 years earlier this year? So, unless we've gone through some major, vortex or something, and we've lost 2 years, why has the time changed, apparently? But anyway. It's like they're pulling numbers out of their ass. Democrat President candidate Beto O'Rourke sounded the alarm on Monday, saying that civilization has only 10 years left to address climate change. We've heard this story. It was a video. It was a movie made back in 2000s. It was called The Inconvenient Truth, but anyway. The former Texas congressman unveiled the first major policy proposal of his candidacy, which climate change initiatives would cost $5 trillion in over 10 years in hopes of reaching zero carbon emissions by 2050. But if we only have 10 years, what would be the point? Anyway. Appearing on MSNBC, but does he mean 10 years to react, maybe? O'Rourke promoted his proposal, but was asked about his prior support from the oil and gas industry and whether his relationship would be a problem going forward. Do you see the oil and gas industry as an opponent in that? Wouldn't you have to declare yourself as opposition to their interests? Embassy host Chris Hayde asked. So, we do have that video. Let's see what it says.
Corporations, not oil and gas, not anything else. All that matters at the end of the day are the people of this country.
Let me just sharpen this a little bit, though, because I think this sort of gets to kind of the nub of the issue, right? I mean, we haven't done this yet. We have been standing idly by while we've been emitting more and more carbon into the atmosphere. We've made it harder. We now have to undertake some kind of crash program. And I guess my question to you is, do you see the oil and gas industry as an opponent in that? Won't you have to fight them? Won't you have to declare yourself in opposition to their interests?
Well, I think the short answer is yes, in some significant way. We know that certain oil and gas corporations have been fighting public policy on this issue, have been hiding their own science and research at the expense of our climate and human life. So wherever those two things come in contrast or in opposition, I'm always going to choose the people of this country.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, he goes on about them hiding research and stuff like that. To be honest, I think it's the other way around. There are a lot of people claiming that this is a hoax. Look, do I think at the end of the day, moving towards zero emissions in some form or another is a good thing? Sure. I think everybody should have solar panels on their roof. Everybody should be able to go through and get government incentives to put solar panels on the roof. Yeah, sure, let's do that. But at the end of the day, you also have to be practical about this sort of stuff. What's the point in, for example, South Australia, in Australia here, and Amtrak can testify to this. Down in South Australia, they wanted to shut down all their coal power plants because of environmental disasters and blah, blah, blah. And what happened? South Australia now has to buy power from Melbourne, Victoria or New South Wales to power their city at some points in time because they run out of power. Now, obviously, Tesla is going through and bigging this, the world's biggest battery, yada, yada, yada. Don't get me started on, obviously, the cost of the environment when, harvesting nickel, but regardless. But at the end of the day, the fact is that they couldn't provide enough power for South Australia because of, the solar panels were getting, shade put on them, the wind turbines weren't spinning fast enough, whatever it may be. Yeah, power went out. Yeah, it did. It actually, they lost power to the city because they decided to shut down their only power supply. Holy shit, like, you're idiots. Thanks, guys. You don't have to donate money, please. Jeanette, I appreciate it. I really do. I love you guys too. And hey, at least you didn't call me a raccoon, which is what I thought he was for the first 6 months. But yeah, thank you guys. I do appreciate it. But you don't have to donate money, so don't feel the need to. But I appreciate it. But thank you. Thank you very much. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, yeah, the power went out. The power went out in South Australia. Why? Because we shut down the power stations, because we're going to rely on solar panel and clean power, and it just failed miserably to the point where they're now leeching power off these other states. And I'm like, okay, so how are you getting that power? We're getting them from Victoria, right? How's Victoria generating that power? They're using their coal power stations. Right, so the coal power stations you shut down didn't obviously provide enough power with the greenhouse gas energy efficient stuff that you had. So your idea was to go through and to use the power stations that you shut down, but in a different state, and then get charged for it. Like, it's just like, you don't see the irony of you having to use coal power to supply power to your city because you shut down your own coal power stations? Like, and this is the worst thing, is they're actually being charged for it by Victoria. My understanding is they have to pay. I'm in Canberra. Lol. Sky, I got solar fridge and gas stove. Oh, okay. You're in Canberra. Cool, yeah. But like I say, yeah, they were using the ones from, like, so we're going to shut down our own power station, and then we're going to use the same power station from someone else, but they're going to charge us extra for it. Like, do you think it might be more economically efficient if South Australia was to keep their own coal power stations going instead of having to pay Victoria or New South Wales or whatever it was where they get their power? I think it's Victoria, actually, where they get their power from. Like, do you think Victoria might be sitting there thinking, we're going to give it to you for free, which we know they're not doing? Or do you think they might be sitting there thinking, we're going to charge these idiots a whole bunch of money because they decided to shut down their own power station? Like, they're paying through the nose. Yeah, of course they are. Yeah. Victoria's like, okay, we'll sell you the power. And at the end of the day, it hasn't really made any difference to South Australia because they're still using, technically, coal power stations to fund their city, or to power their city. The only difference is, instead of being in South Australia, they're now using the Victorian ones, and they're paying extra for it. Why the virtue signal? Yay! Like, it's just, it's insane. It really, really is. But regardless. But anyway. As for this, look, 10 years until address climate change, I don't believe it. I really, really don't. And at the end of the day, look, like I say, yes, put solar on your roof. Help reduce your power bills. Go through, look at things like, for example, I know there's nuclear power. Not everybody's keen on that. There's also another form of nuclear power called like thorium power or something, or thorium or something like that. It's apparently a lot safer. It has practically zero chance of going overload or reacting or going into meltdown. It's a lot cleaner. It's a lot more efficient. The only reason the governments don't want it is because it doesn't use uranium. It uses it uses thorium instead of uranium or something. They demolished the coal ones, so they can't even emergency refurbish. Yeah, exactly. They not only turned them off, but they destroyed them, knocked them down. Way to go, South Australia! Woohoo! Freaking idiots. But anyway, but like I say, yeah, there's like instead of uranium, it's like thorium or something that's similar like that. Apparently, that's a lot safer. You know, obviously people are looking into things like 0-point energy, cold fusion, stuff like that. Look, in the future, yes, we are going to have better options than coal power stations, of course. But at the moment, it's a good stopgap. And sure, do I think they should go through and spend more money in researching the solar cold fusion, stuff like that? Sure. How about we take some of the money that we give to foreign aid and we use it into researching technology like this? Because at the end of the day, if we go through and actually able to get cold fusion, if we're able to lick cold fusion and actually get it working, then these other third world countries are going to benefit from it anyway, preferably. So, nuclear is okay. I just don't think we should take others' nuclear waste to store it. No, and I would agree. I think at the end of the day, every country should supply or store their own nuclear waste. I think that what we're doing is very, very wrong. So if anybody in chat isn't following, Australia takes nuclear waste from some other countries. I can't think of the countries off by hand now. Amtrak might be able to tell me. I think it's like China and stuff like that. France and stuff, I think it is. But at the end of the day, yeah, we're actually storing their nuclear waste in our outback, in underground caves and stuff like that. Great idea. There's no way this could possibly go wrong. But hey, you know, bring on the two-headed wombat and the three-legged kangaroo, maybe? I don't know. But yeah. How does the politics work in Australia? That's a related question, TJ. Money and lots of yelling. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty it. I'll answer that question in a sec. My fire, I can heat my hot water, cook my food, warm my house in the winter, all good. Yeah, that's the thing, Janet. The old systems, my grandfather used to have an old stove that would actually heat the hot water and everything. They'd run like pipes like past the stoves, the old wooden stoves and stuff like that. It's an old system that some people have modernized a little bit. Yeah, works amazing. So yeah, there are plenty of options. France, yeah, I think it's France. I think it's France and a couple others too, actually, I think, Amtrak. As for the politics in Australia, we have a lot of yelling and a lot of money. Yeah, it's pretty much it, actually. We have two left-wing parties at the moment. We have the Liberals, which would be considered the Republicans in name only. They are a little bit tougher on immigration compared to Labour, which would be the Democrats. But they still let in like 160, 180,000 people a year. So it's like, yay, we don't want illegal border crossings. Mind you, we're going to let in 160 to 180,000 people from these third world countries that are causing a lot of problems right now. If you saw yesterday's show, you might have seen that we were talking about the Victorian Berwick attacks. That is caused by African gangs or Somali gangs that were led into this country under this administration and previous administration as well. But yeah, we have taken a lot of people in from third world Africa, and it's causing a lot of issues. So we have a left-wing government and we have a far left wing. We do have some independent parties in Australia that you can vote for, but the way that it works, from my understanding with this, is that the independent parties need to get around 50% of the vote for them to count. So, for example, Pauline Hanson, One Nation, for example. Say I was to vote for her in this upcoming election that we have literally later this month, actually, now. We would actually go through, and if she got 50% of the votes, then she could possibly run the country. The thing is that she doesn't get anywhere near that amount of votes. So what happens is she does deals with the major parties to turn around and say, I will give you my preferences to my votes to help you get the 50% or over, but I want an influential say on this, this, and this, for example. And it's a lot of wheeling and dealing. There's a lot of Frankenstein governments all built together with independents to help prop them up to the 50% mark. You know, like, for example, Labour and Greens always back up each other. Nationals and Liberals always back up each other. And then you've got like Pauline Hanson, Clive Palmer at the moment. You've got Fraser Anning, who's also running as an independent. You've got the Australian Conservative Party, which is a new party. They're seemingly doing okay in the polls as well. But a lot of people are turning away from the major parties and are actually turning towards these independent parties like Pauline Hanson, you know, like, for example, Clive Palmer, believe it or not, is actually doing somewhat okay in the polls. The Australian Conservatives are doing okay. Like, there's a lot of smaller parties which will be able to go through and say, hey, you need 50% Liberals to win, so we'll give you our preference votes if, for example, you let us have a say on immigration, for example. And that's how it works. Anning for MP. I would actually like Anning for MP, but I don't think he's actually running in enough seats, is he? Amtrak there? I think he's only running in a few seats, so he can't actually... Here's actually an article you guys might be interested in. So Fraser Anning registers his own political party, will rank candidates in most lower house seats. So Fraser Anning will run candidates in most lower house seats in every state Senate ballot at the upcoming federal election after his own political party's registration was approved by the Australian Electoral Commission. The same day he was censored in a rare bipartisan motion. The registration of Fraser Anning's Conservative National Party by the Queensland Senator, who was internationally condemned for comments made following the Christchurch attacks. Now, you're probably wondering, what comments did he make? That's the interesting thing. It wasn't actually that bad, to be honest. What he turned around and said, if they put it here... does anyone dispute the links between Muslim immigration and violence? That's all he said. And that they lost their shit over him saying that. You know, like... Does he not have a point? Does he not have a point to this? Like... Yeah. Do we need to talk about Sri Lanka yet again to point out some of the violence that happens on both sides? So, yeah, and you can also make the argument too. The New Zealand shooter, his reaction was because of previous terrorist attacks. Now, I know, it's the, you know, who came first, the chicken or the egg scenario. You know, that you can always go back and claim that the terrorist attacks over in France and all that were a result of America's intervention and blah, 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 right? Sure. But, you know, let's face it, if the France terrorist attack and all these terrorist attacks over in Europe hadn't happened, would this New Zealand shooting still happen? Most likely no. Who am I hoping to win in Australia? Oh, that's probably Fraser Anning or Pauline Hanson. I don't think Fraser Anning's going to win. I don't think he's got enough votes. Like Amtrak's saying in the chat, he's probably not going to win this year. So then it's going to be hopefully Pauline. Apparently London, Belgium, France, etc. don't count. Yeah, sure, yeah. That's what they say anyway. But yeah, I would say Fraser Anning, Pauline Hanson. If I have to choose one of the major parties, I'm going to say Liberal over Labour any day of the week. But that's literally deciding between cancer or HIV. I only say Liberals over Labour because Labour will open the borders and let everybody in. Liberals, it's a slower death, and it's giving us more chance to go through and to sort of curb this immigration. It's buying us time. They're still letting in 160, 180,000 people a year, but it's nowhere near what Labor will let in. There's actually a newspaper report that came out saying that over the next 10 years, I think it is, Liberals are going to let in over 1 million people into the country. So, yeah. Next election. Yeah, maybe. I do have a worry, Amtrak, that we have too many independents running right now. And I do wish that, for example, a lot of the independents would stop bickering. For example, the Australian Conservative Party, or the Young Conservative Party, I think it is, has taken several shots at Pauline Hanson. That's obviously not Peter Dutton. That's forgot his name. Brisbane Senator. Corey Bernardi. His group have taken several shots at Pauline Hanson and also taken shots at Fraser Anning's party as well. I really wish they would stop doing that and sort of work together. Maybe form some Frankenstein sort of government. Maybe the three of them all working together could do something. But yeah. I think Anning's going to do well. I think he will actually do really well when it comes to the election. So, yeah, we'll see after. We'll see. And literally, we got like 2 weeks. So you guys are going to get a little bit of Australian news lately. Don't worry, we're still going to cover the rest of it. I sound like me. Yeah, they need to stop fighting. I sound like me. Damage control. Yeah, I really do think they need to stop arguing with themselves and work together. I do think that some of it might be a little bit of paid opposition too. I don't know. Might be a little tinfoil hat, but anyway. Instagram six-pack surgery is now a thing, apparently, guys. Jumping on to the next topic. Anning stood up for Pauline over the NRA thing and is telling people just don't vote Labor. Yeah, true. He did. And also, Sky News stuck up for Pauline too. Although, I do worry that Pauline is lost a lot of her fight. I think she's been a little bit defeated over the years. She doesn't have the balls, I suppose, to keep fighting. I think she's... Yeah, you sound like me. Oh, okay, yeah. I think at the end of the day, I think she's sort of lost a little bit of her gusto over the past years. I think they sort of put the fear of God in her, so to speak. So, yeah. But anyway, let's jump onto this. Instant six-pack surgery is now a thing. Summer is almost with us, depending obviously on which country you're in. So no doubt that you're already dreaming of sunning yourself in a tropical climes. Or at least catching some rays in the back garden with a few tinnies. But if you have left it too late to crack down on that beach bod, the company in Thailand has got your back. This is extremely dangerous, but anyway. Masterpiece Hospital in Bangkok now offers instant six-packs so that you can swerve the gym and get ready for the sun the easy way. You might want to check out the pictures first, though. So this is him beforehand. Oof. Oh, that's a mannequin, is it? So what are they doing? They're putting in some sort of... So, cosmetic surgery team's abs implants are fairly commonplace. People already lean, get silicone implants, pop in to create a fake six-pack. So that's what they're doing, is they're putting in silicone implants to sort of make you have that six-pack. The Dixon stripping thing has cut her. I was going to talk about that yesterday, actually. Yeah, it is. It sounds really dangerous. And it's... Yeah, anyway. Apparently, most hospital patients are folks who work out regularly, but find this stubborn belly fat is the trickiest bit to shift. Well, they're obviously not working out regularly then, are they? So, opting for the 120,000 or approximately 2,900 pounds procedure speed up things. Says you've been doing this for about 3 to 4 years now. Get anywhere from 20 to 30 customers requesting a six-pack every month. They're doing like one a month. He continued, in order to naturally get a six-pack, one needs to work out as well as get lean. Most of our clients come in with a lot of muscle. They just want to save themselves months of leaning down. We're a licensed, legitimate hospital, unlike many cosmetic surgery clinics around Thailand, which means we have come access to euthanasia and quality medicines. It's... I find this very... Yeah. To be honest, I'm just thinking I'd just do it the hard way. I don't know. I get worried that you go through and you're sort of cutting down on doing this sort of stuff. It's that instant gratification. It's the I want it now and I don't want to wait for it. I don't want to have to work for it. I just want to be able to get this and get it done. To me, is a bit of a cheat. You know, like, yeah, you might look good at the beach and everything like that, but you haven't really done anything about it. It's not really your work. You went and you got surgery to put six-pack abs. And I don't think at the end of the day, I don't know, look, I imagine if some girl was to run her hand over your six-pack, she would know they're fake. But that's a paraphrased version. Makes me think of video games cheating meme that's going around. You cheated not only in only the game, but yourself. You didn't grow, you didn't improve. Exactly, that's the point. Yeah. What's wrong with just being human? True. True. And the fact is at the end of the day, having a six-pack like this, yeah, you're going to get the women that are like all self-obsessed and are all into looks and stuff like that. But do you really want to date those sort of girls anyway? Pills, potions, and surgeries. That's true. Like, do you really think a chick that's going to be interested in you just because of your six-pack is going to stick with you when some guy does, like... I was in the supermarket the other day, and there was literally a Ken and Barbie set walking around the shopping centre, right? She had more plastic in her face and in her ass than Barbie had in the whole doll. And her boyfriend that she's walking around with, he's walking around like all roided up. And I was just like, you guys are just... I'm glad these two found each other, because they're probably the only two people that could possibly put up with each other, because they're probably most likely so self-obsessed. But you know, it's just like he's walking around all roided up, she's walking around all plasticed up. She'd want you to pay for the surgery too. Yeah, sometimes, yeah. But my question is, right, say she comes along and she finds a guy with this killer six-pack, right? And, you know, she's like, yeah, you know, six-pack, yeah, all this sort of stuff, right? And then she comes across and she finds a guy that has better muscle tone or looks better with the six-pack. You reckon she's going to stick around for the better guy or for the guy that got the fake one? If a woman fills up that fake six-pack muscle, she's going to be able to tell that's not natural muscle. True. I imagine it would feel very, very different. And look, like I say, it's cheating. It really is. You haven't gone through. You haven't gone through. You haven't done this yourself. It's you know, it's cheat. It's a cheat. It's, you know, it's just instant gratification. You know, I want my six-pack and I want it now, and I don't want to have to work 6 months to go through and do it. You know, and look, I work out. I try to anyway, but I've got shoulder injuries at the moment. But you know, and I'm about to get back into working out. But I tell you now that girls like guys with abs and stuff like that. But you know what they like more than guys with abs? Guys with confidence. Guys that walk up to a chick and say, "Hey, you look kind of hot. My name is," shake my hand. That's what girls like more than anybody. Most girls at the moment are literally fed up with the fact that guys can't approach them. Can you picture a muscle-bound freak struggling with the pickle jar? True. Yeah, 7-pack. Oh, I think there's actually a thing called 8-pack, isn't there? Or 12-pack. I think it's the muscles. What a turn off. Yeah. But anyway, speaking of cosmetic surgeries, 2 people were diagnosed with HIV after getting vampire facials at a spa. A client contracted the same strain of virus, including the likelihood that the 2 cases resulted from the procedures done at the spa. So, the New Mexico Department of Health is urging anyone who received injections at the Alabrasca spa to get tested after 2 people who had vampire facials, we'll talk about that in a sec, were diagnosed with HIV. The agency is investigating after HIV infections were detected in 2 clients of VIP Spa who received vampire facials, a procedure in which a person's own blood is injected into their face as a way of refreshing the skin, between March and September 2018. 2 people were found to have contracted the same virus strain, including the likelihood the 2 cases resulted from procedures done at the VIP Spa, health officials said. I'm guessing they didn't sterilize needles or anything like that. Look, obviously, you know, blood has huge regeneration properties. It's literally what goes through, allows you to regenerate your body and stuff like that. Obviously, your white blood cells and stuff like that. I don't know what injecting it into your skin is going to do, but apparently. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, cosmetic surgery going wrong. This is the sort of stuff you got to worry about when you're getting cosmetic surgery. Linking back to the existing one. I've seen the SpongeBob episode where he gets fake muscles. Yeah. True. Teen suicide spiked after debut of Netflix's 13 Reasons Why study has claimed, which I can't imagine, but anyway. I did actually watch 13 Reasons Why. I wanted to see what all the hype was about when it happened. It was interesting. It was a good storyline. But I don't know if it encouraged suicide. I think that's a little bit, yeah. But when it released 2 years ago, depicting the life of a teenager who decided to take her own life, educators and philosophers warned the program could lead to copycat suicides. Now a study funded by the National Institutes of Health shows those concerns may have been warranted. The month following the show's debut in March 2017, there was a 28.9% increase in suicide among Americans aged between 10 to 17, says the study. Published Monday in the Journal of American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, the number of suicides was greater than the seen in any single month of the 5-year period researchers examined. I don't know. What do you guys reckon? I don't know. I don't know how a TV show would go through and do it. Yeah. Maybe people might think it's an idea, sort of, I don't know, cry for help, something, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of suicide. I think it's a bit of a coward's way out, so to speak. I think that at the end of the day, it's you cheating, so to speak. you're and look, obviously, if anybody's attempted it or thinking about it, please go and get help. But I do think it's a case of you cheating your way out, and then you're going to leave distraught people behind. If your life's shit, then do something about it to fix it. Be my argument. But yeah, kids are easily led. That's true. 10 to 17 would be impressionable. But yeah. Barack Obama announces Netflix project that will focus on race, class, and civil rights. Who's surprised by this? Race bait is at it again. Look at some of the mental internet games. Look at some of the mental internet games. The Barack Obama production company, High Ground Productions, has teamed with Netflix to release content for the streaming giant. We've created high grounds to harness the power of storytelling and to racially divide America. That's why we couldn't be more excited about these projects, Obama said in a statement on Tuesday. Touching on issues of race, class and democracy and civil rights and much more, we believe each of these productions won't just entertain, but will educate, connect and inspire all of us. This seems like it's propaganda. That's what it seems like to me. It's propaganda and yeah. Like, what do you guys reckon the bet? They're going to do a video that's most likely about getting rid of the Electoral College. They're probably going to do a video about how the right, alt-right, that's true, Eric. I would agree with that. I always looked at suicide that whoever commits suicide is not ending their own pain. They're just leaving it behind for others to carry. That what I would agree with, yeah. That's what the people that do it don't realise. That's true. So the productions company's first release will be about an American factory, about a Chinese-owned factory in a post-industrial Ohio. Sounds interesting. Sorry. Also acquired Jim Lebretz and Nicolás Emmons Cramp, a documentary about a summer camp for disabled teenagers founded in upstate New York. Sounds riveting. Obama's also developing an upstairs downstairs drama set in post-World War II era titled Bloom. There's the Nazis for you. I tell you what, if you guys want to watch a really, really good show, it's speaking about vampires and stuff like that, talking about this, The Passage is really, really good. If you guys haven't seen it, check that out. It's about the government who goes through and makes a strain of vampires to combat bird flu, and yeah, the project takes a turn for the worst. You can imagine what happens, but anyway. But yeah, really good show. I binge watched the whole 10 episodes in literally a day. I was addicted to it. So check it out. It's called The Passage. Really cool, actually. Peter, Bernie, and Biden dropped out. Online trends like mono harms impressionable binds. That's true. Beto, Bernie, and Biden poll within 2 points of Trump in Texas. So, Democrat 20 presidential candidates Bernie Sanders, Beto O'Rourke, and Joe Biden are polling within 2 points of President Donald Trump in the deep state red of Texas. The Immersion College poll released Monday reveals that if the general election was held today, Biden would lead Trump 50 to 49. O'Rourke would tie for the president, and Sanders would trail by 2 points. Now, obviously, I have never heard of this Emerson College. Sounds familiar, actually, when I say it like that. But at the end of the day, do I believe polls? No, because 2016 proved to us that we don't. And at the end of the day, you've also got to remember that some of those people that won't vote for Sanders or who would vote for Sanders would also switch over to Trump. Some would switch over to O'Rourke. So, yeah, it depends on who's running. I do have a prediction about the polls and the election. And I actually made this tweet yesterday. I think they're going to try and screw over the Democrats. And I reckon they're going to try and give it to Joe Biden. I think what will happen is we're going to have a similar thing to 2016. We're going to have them going through and they're going to rig the election for Biden because he's a bit of deep state. He's more easy to work with than Sanders or anybody else. We're going to have Biden going up against Trump. Trump will win the re-election again. And then it'll come out that that Biden rigged the election against Sanders again. And I reckon people are going to vote for Trump just because it's going to be Bernie or bust again. But yeah, that would be my... I could agree with that, but Netflix still has some of my favourite movies on there. Torrent site. Sorry, just coughing there. Meghan McCain defends Biden. I'm going to keep hugging you every time I see you. Because she just wants hugs, apparently. Creepy hugs. Meghan McCain staunchly defended former Vice President Joe Biden on Tuesday, saying that she was one of the people who welcomed his penchant for hugs. Look at that. Deep State wanting to hug Deep State's daughter. He makes me feel better when he's around, she said on The View. I get sad and I'm in grief and I want him to hug me okay. Deep State hugging Deep State's daughter. Who would have thought? And that's basically what it is. So, yeah. Stephen Hilton. China is funding Biden's family business with billions of dollars. So, on Sunday, Fox News Channel, Steve Hilton reported on Peter Schweizer's investigation of former Vice President Joe Biden's family business dealings with China government, concluding that Biden was compromised by a foreign power and unfit to be president. Yeah, she's desperate for hugs, Eric. Hunter Biden, Biden's second son, secured $1 billion in financing from Bank of China, an arm of the Chinese government, for private equity in a firm funded by himself and Christopher Hines, the stepson of the former Secretary of State John Kerry. The private equity firm was named Boderhive Harvest. Joe Biden is the very definition of corrupt insider, said Hilton, rejecting left-wing and partisan Democrats marketing as Joe Biden as a man of the working people. He profiled Biden in a segment entitled Swamp Watch. I did actually see that, actually. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is here.
As America's economy roars ahead, tonight we bring you the truth about the man who says he wants to take us back. Evening, everyone, and welcome to The Next Revolution. I'm Steve Hilton, and this is the home of positive populism, pro-worker, pro-family, pro-community. On Friday, more confirmation that the central promise of the Trump revolution to get the economy moving again is being delivered. Growth up, investment up, incomes up. It is an incredible performance for this stage of an economic expansion and is the direct result of this administration's pro-enterprise policy agenda. This is Donald Trump's blue-collar boom, delivering historic results for working Americans, exactly as he promised.
Oh, no, that's rough, Amtrak. That's pretty rough, dude. Probably true. Maybe true, but pretty rough still.
Presidential campaign built on a pledge to go back to the pre-Trump era, the era of slow growth and wage stagnation. And that's where we start tonight, with the man who wants to take America back to all that. After months of dithering, after pathetically fishing around for a pre-picked VP like Stacey Abrams, after telling us with that move that he himself believes he is too old, too white, too male, and too establishment to win his party's nomination, Joe Biden has finally entered the race for 2020. He says he wants to take America back to normal. Well, tonight, we will show you what Joe Biden's normal really looks like. We'll give you the facts that not only reveal his political vulnerability, but which, by the Democrats' own standards, make him unfit for the presidency and which should disqualify his candidacy.
Alright, so this is 15 minutes, so we're not going to go through the whole thing, but it's there, Swamp Watch, Joe Biden, if you guys want to check it out. Look, at the end of the day, what's my view on this is, yeah, he would sell out America. He would sell people out, America out to the Chinese. You would have all your manufacturing going back over to China again. This would be a catastrophe for the American economy. And the American economy would slow, go backwards, whatever it may be. It would be a huge mistake. It really, really would. I think at the end of the day, he's establishment. And I think at the end of the day, yeah, the deep state wants someone like Joe Biden. Because it's easier to control them. They're puppets. They can literally tell them what to do. Stacey Abrams, the lady who said protecting babies from abortion was bad for business. Don't know what Stacey Abrams has to do with this, though. Is there something I'm missing? Yeah. But yeah. CNN, Chris Cuomo says, Antifa fight for us is a good cause. He'd be picking up where Hillary left off. He would, yeah. And, yeah. It'd be a catastrophe. It really, really would. On air, debate over the merits of Antifa, CNN nighttime host Chris Cuomo claimed that anarchist group were represented a good cause. We do have that video. We'll play that for you now.
You can talk about Antifa. I've watched them in the streets protesting in different situations, okay? There are certainly aspects of them that are true to a cause. That is a good cause. They want social justice. They want whatever they want in that context. You tell me when that has ever happened. You tell me when that has ever happened with neo-Nazis, where they have ever been doing
Chris, Antifa
the right
is not
thing.
a good cause. Antifa does not have good aims. Antifa wants power, wants political power taken through force. That's what Antifa is all about. I mean, they are the inheritors of Nazis and brown shirts.
I am not here to espouse Antifa or any group on the political spectrum.
Sounds like it.
No, because you want it to be like that, because you want it to be simple.
No.
And you want to be able to run away after something like this and say, Cuomo loves the alt-left. He loves them. And you know it's not true. You know it's BS. What I'm saying is this. You don't draw a moral equivalence between neo-Nazis and the people there to fight against them.
Why not? They're the same thing on the different end of the spectrum, right? Do you watch One American News? I think I've seen them a few times. Don't know if I'm subbed to them, though. Let me see. I'm not subscribed on this account. Maybe on my personal account. I think I am on my personal account. I'll just sub to them anyway. But yeah, I think I am subbed to them. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, let's keep going. What do we get up to?
Don't do it in that context because it's not what we are about in this country.
Okay.
And Rob, when you pair it with a president who refuses to call out Steve King, a president who says that the problems with domestic terrorism with right-wing extremists is not a big deal, but he talks about Islam hating all of us when they are nowhere near responsible for what we're dealing with here in terms of death and attacks as the right-wing extremists, when you put it all together, it makes you wonder, Rob, why is he so soft on one and so loud on the other? Help me understand.
He said condemn totally.
He does not talk about the people who attack these synagogues and who attack Muslims the way he does talk about Muslims who do the attacking, and you know it. And if you want, I'll send you volumes of his statements. Yeah, who?
Okay, you know who would disagree with you about that is Rabbi Goldstein today.
Yeah, I heard him.
That heroic man.
I heard him, and I respect his pain, and I respect his message.
And the consolation that the president brought him with his words of compassion And that is not the story, by the way, of a man who hates Jews and who praises Nazis. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite.
I didn't say he praises Nazis, and I didn't say he hates Jews.
It sounded like he did. It's kind of sounding like he did, didn't he? I don't know.
Resort to the absurd, Steve. You're not worth the position. Don't resort to the absurd. I'm saying he's quiet when it comes to how he condemns the right. Talk about
the alt-right hates Trump. Trust me, I've heard them say it themselves. They think he's a Zionist cuck. So this whole argument that Trump is alt-right is completely insane. It really, really is. But anyway. Complete madness. Democrats subpoena Trump's grandkids' personal records. On Tuesday morning, Representative Brad Worship from Ohio joined Bill Hammer on America's Newsroom to discuss the latest president harassment by the House Democrats. Bill Hammer brought up a Politico report that claims Democrats are even subpoenaing the records for Trump's grandkids. Democrats are acting more and more like fascist thugs every day. I don't know what records they're subpoenaing, but yeah. So about the accounts of the plaintiff's children and in some cases grandchildren. So it's regarding Capital One to block subpoenas. Like, freaking grandkids? Seriously? Trump derangement syndrome? Alright, 5 stories left, guys. We're getting towards the end of it. Charlottesville judge rules Confederate statues are protected war monuments. A judge has ruled that statues of Confederate generals in Charlottesville, Virginia are protected by state law, which will likely halt any local efforts to remove the monuments, according to the reports of the opinion released Tuesday afternoon. This is good news. Local CBS affiliate WCAV reports that Charlottesville Circuit Judge Richard Moore defies the recent phenomenon of city councils, schools, and other government bodies removing historical marks to address the modern residents who are offended by what they perceive as an endorsement of slavery and white supremacy. The judge wrote that he would likely overturn any civil judgment that called for the removal of the statues. Yeah, I don't watch CNN much, except for the fact I have to listen to their reports for, obviously, this. But so in each page ruling, Moore cites the fact that both Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson are depicted in the military uniforms and on horse associated with their time in the Civil War. I believe the defendants have confused or conflated what the statues are with the intentions or motives of some involved in the erecting them, and the impact that they might have on some people, knowing they have made some people feel more rights that does not change what they are. Which is true. They are literally riding horses and statues and uniforms from back in the day. So, yeah, I don't know about shutting them down, Eric. Look, regardless of what we like or dislike about CNN, they do have the infrastructure to allow them to go through online reporting pretty much instantly. So at the end of the day, I like the fact that we can use their media services to obviously use it for videos and stuff like that. And I'm not a fan of shutting down media organizations. I think it's just better to let them rot as what they are at the moment. Yeah, I think it's asking to be shut down is a bit too far. But yeah, they do need to be held accountable, that's for sure. Pentagon approves $7.4 million for troops to feed care for border crisis. The Department of Defense is planning to spend $7.4 million on a troop mission at the United States-Mexico border that includes feeding and caring for migrants and border crossers the agency announced on Monday afternoon. I get worried about this because at the end of the day, this might be encouraging people to come to the US. The mission will involve sending 320 more US troops heading to the southern border to help Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, takes agents care of migrants that have crossed the US border. Defense Department officials described the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, request for more aid for migrants as necessary in dealing with the humanitarian crisis at the southern border. So, I don't like the fact that, yeah, I get it. I get the fact you got to feed them and everything like that, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I do worry that's going to encourage people to come, more people to come to the US. But I don't know. What do you guys reckon about that? Pelosi, Schumer want to turn Trump's infrastructure plan into a climate change bill. So, top Democrats Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer made it clear to President Trump that they will use the infrastructure to advance their climate change agenda. Their letter to Trump makes no mention of roads, bridges, or highways, but does mention climate change and clean energy. Democrats have said in the past they want to turn an infrastructure bill into a green energy bill. So we must also invest in the resiliency and risk mitigation of our current infrastructure deal with climate change, the two Democrats wrote to Trump. I'm hoping Trump tells them to go jump. Trump reportedly wants $2 trillion to beef up the US infrastructure, including bridges, highways, and roads. But the Democrats' letter makes it clear their priorities are different from the president's. Anyway. In fact, the letter does not contain any mention of roads, bridges, or highways, but instead urges Trump to go beyond transportation and include spending for climate change and housing initiatives, public health, and clean energy. I don't know. As far as I know, the US needs bridges and roads and stuff more than it needs, you know, clean energy. That would be my, you know, bridges, roads, and highways are pretty more important than, I think, than clean energy, if you ask me. Theresa May is preparing to cave in to Labour's demand on Brexit. The Eurosceptics fear. Theresa May is preparing to cave in to Labour demands on the Brexit. Eurosceptic ministers fear they were told an unplated outcome would be better than a disastrous one. The Prime Minister has made it clear that she wants the cross-party talks wrapped up by the middle of next week, adding to suspicion that she is waiting until after tomorrow's local election before announcing a clampdown. A cabinet meeting yesterday was dominated by discussions of how the government can get a Brexit deal through Parliament so Britain can leave the EU before the current deadline of October. Seems like at the end of the day, it's them trying to buy time after the election. That would be my argument. At least 2 are dead and 4 are injured in shooting at university. I'm going to refresh this. University of North Carolina at Charlotte. So, at least 2 people are dead and 4 are injured in a shooting Tuesday night at a North Carolina university, according to local emergency services. One suspect is in custody, and the scene is secure. The Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department tweeted about 2 hours after shots were reported. Police said they would believe no other suspects were involved. The University of North Carolina and Charlotte campus was on lockdown following reports of the shooting. The fatalities and injuries were reported by the Mecklenburg Emergency Medical Services Agency. We are in shock to learn of an active shooter situation on the campus of UNC Charlottesville. Charlottesville Mayor Mayor V. Lies says on Twitter, "My thoughts and families, blah, 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 usual typical bullshit. So, yeah, active. What's the what are the gun legislations like over in North Carolina? They have strict gun laws or what? So they regulate the sale, possession of use of firearms, ammunition in North Carolina. North Carolina is considered a permissive state for firearm owners, with no states imposed restrictions on assault weapons, no magazine capacity restrictions, no caliber restrictions, and few restrictions on open carry. Apparently they are concealed carry though. So, I wonder if he was using a handgun or what. I imagine there would have been more fatalities if it was an assault rifle or something like that, or an AK or AR-15 or whatever. It's I know it's bad to say, but it was only 2 dead and 4 injured. It could have been a lot worse. A shame they voted for Brexit and they're doing all they can to deny what the people of Britain voted for. Yeah, probably Eric, because at the end of the day, I don't think they expected it to win, to be honest. So... I can't see anything here about guns or anything what he was using. What are CNN sponsors? Boycott CNN sponsors. There was a list of CNN sponsors going around. Here it is here. CNN let us sponsors 2 years ago. This is 2 years old. I'll put a link in the Reddit. Obviously, I'm not encouraging anybody to go and sponsor or boycott anybody or whatever it may be, but if you do, there's the link. Just got to say that, I suppose. So yeah, I don't know. Apart from that, guys, that's probably where we're going to be leaving it today. How long have we been going for? What, 2 hours? Yeah, just shy of 2 hours. So much for doing an hour show every day. But yeah, guys. Apart from that, look, obviously, guys, if there's any questions, any comments, or anything at all, feel free to hit us up in the comment section below. So I have worked out the times. So the Australian time is 9 AM. London is 12 AM. Sweden is at 1 AM for Stockholm. Canada, Toronto is at 7 PM. For the US, we do 4 PM live for San Francisco, 6 PM for Dallas, and Washington, D.C. is at 7 PM. I will put those times in the description below. So obviously, guys, if you want to know when to tune in, that's roughly when we go live, is roughly those times. It won't be before that, so if it's not then, it'll be just after that. Like 1:15 or whatever it may be, depending on whenever I get everything set up. But yeah, we try and aim for the 9 AM Australian, which is the times I just read out. Yeah, no worries, Eric. Thanks, guys. Thanks everybody who has tuned in. Thank you everybody who has jumped in today and supported us. Thank you to the person that donated. I think it was Janet that donated. Thank you, guys. Obviously, I do appreciate the super chats. Yeah, so thank you, Antrak. But yeah, and everybody who has been in here and has commented throughout the time. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in and watching the whole show. Without you guys, this would be a very boring show. So I appreciate everybody who donates, who chats, who talks, who shares, If you like the video, obviously smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Although I see a lot of old faces here, so I don't think there's anyone new at the moment. But apart from that, guys, yeah, apart from that, look, thank you, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow at the same bat time, same bat station, same bat location, I suppose. I don't know. But I'll put these times in the description, and I'll also put them up on Twitter too, so you guys can have a look. Apart from that, enjoy. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night, and enjoy.